welcome back to my channel. Now today I'm going to be giving a review for the movie Chaos Walking. Now this is based on a science fiction book series known as Chaos Walking, but it actually adapts the first story, which is known as The Knife of Never Letting Go. Now this stars Daisy Ridley and Tom Holland, Mads Mikkelsen, Nick Jonas, and David Oyelowo. I think that's how you pronounce his last name. Now this film, I was kind of surprised because I wasn't too familiar with the actual book series, but I was surprised that it actually takes place so far into the future, and it's about this young girl who crash lands on this planet. You never really get to see what's the actual name of this planet, because apparently it's not Earth, but the planet that she actually comes from is Earth, and she's played by Daisy Ridley. Like I said, I was surprised it actually takes so far in the future. I think when it comes on, it says that it takes place in the year 2200, somewhere in the 2220 or something like that. I forget what was actually the actual year. But the actual stars of the film are Tom Holland as Todd Hewitt and Daisy Ridley as Viola A. And like I said, she's the one who actually crash lands on this planet. Now the bulk of the film itself is actually dealing for Tom's character known as Todd. He actually has to take Viola to her ship, where it's some place where she can actually get back to her ship and she can send out a transmission or something like that. Now keep in mind, this is based on a book series too, so apparently there's supposed to be 2 more films in this series, but from what I'm hearing, it didn't do too good at the box office, and I did see this in the theater, just like a couple other last movies I saw. I went and saw it in the theater, even though they were available on I think what HBO Max, where you could stream them. But you also have Mads Mikkelsen playing the role of David Prentice, and he's actually known as the mayor of this town that they live in, known as Princeton Town. Now at first he seems like he's a good character or something like that, but eventually it turns out that he's actually the antagonist and the villain of the film. And he also has a son known as David. He's played by Nick Jonas. Now I must admit, this film it just never really could take off. But it was okay, and it's really is a sci-fi film. It's like a lot of sci-fi-ish technology, the weapons that they use and so on. But it's one thing that's definitely intriguing about the film to me, which I thought was cool and very interesting too. It's just this element thing known as the noise, and it comes when you because apparently sometime throughout this world, something had happened where all the women were killed off or something like that. Then this thing known as the noise appeared, and it's constantly flowing over all the different characters throughout the film. It's Tom Holland's character, Todd. He constantly has this smoke foggy looking thing floating around his head, and it's actually his thoughts, and you can actually hear his thoughts when he's saying stuff, talking, you actually hear him. So he's listening to these voices, but at the same time these voices that he is hearing is actually his own thoughts that's telling him what he feels, what he should do, who he should save and all. But all the characters have this too as well, and I think even the animals have it too, because the thoughts can be so strong from the noise or the sound. Some of the noise can be so strong you can actually create images of your actual body, almost something like Star Wars to a certain extent, because at one point, this is a spoiler alert, I know Daisy had did it herself. I think that was her that was actually doing her character violence. She was actually able to use the noise so strongly that she was actually able to make a duplicate version of herself, which I thought was kind of cool. But I thought that concept of them hearing these voices and so on and their own thoughts, I thought that was just awesome. That was really interesting to me. So the voices that they are hearing is actually their own thoughts. That's them actually speaking to themselves. So I thought that was kind of interesting. But like I said, the film itself just still never really let off. And you can tell that they are on the alien world and they don't really go into it too much. Because like I said, this is supposed to be a trilogy from what I'm hearing. Because some of the creatures you see in song, you can tell they're not from Earth, this monster. Well, not monster, it was actually food that Tom had to actually battle in the water. He actually had to hunt this animal in the water. It was some kind of some kind of snake looking thing. You never really could get a good look at how it looks. And he actually killed it and ate it, and cut it up and cooked it so him and Viola, Daisy's character, they can both eat it. So I thought that was interesting. Now you also have David Oyelowo, I think that's how you pronounce his last name. He plays Aaron, and he's a preacher of Princeton Town. He's kind of an antagonist too, because he's constantly on the chase after Tom's character and Daisy's character. He's always after them and so on. He carries this sword, this knife, and he's always preaching these things about how it's sinful, he's sinning and all that kind of stuff. And he has a strong noise behind it too. But like I said, the noise element itself is constantly floating around him and stuff. Like I said, I thought that was interesting about the film. But overall, I thought this was just a pretty okay film. Now it's directed by Doug Liman, and I thought they did a pretty good job on the actual look of the film. It's very like moody and atmospheric, you know, the place that they in. Like I said, it is definitely a science fiction film. There's like tons of like sci-fi type ship, like spaceships, like when the ship comes to Earth and all that kind of stuff. And it is like very far in the future, you know, and the noise itself comes from all these like elements, you know. So in Chaos Walker, and this is just the start of like supposed to be like I said, a trilogy, but I know it didn't do too well at the box office. So I don't know if they're really going to do that. So you can tell they left it open for like more films. But I'm giving this just a C, and I would definitely recommend it for, I guess, fans of like these kind of science fiction films. But I'm not too sure how close it is to the actual book series, you know. So I can't really say I recommend it for the fans of the books, you know. But anyway, I'm giving Chaos Walker a C. Please leave a comment and subscribe to as well.